Okay, so now we're officially recording, so I'm going to say an official hello. Welcome to Pesto and Panzanella with Tony Gabby. So happy you're all here, and I can't wait to get cooking with you. So this is an Italian-themed class, and you will see a lot of the same ingredients that go into everything, which include tons of herbs, lemon, and olive oil, all of my favorite things. So this is one of my favorite things, my favorite cuisines to cook. So I'm really excited to share it with you. And can you see, what did someone write in the chat? We need 5 minutes. We need 5 minutes. Who was that? Suzanne. Susan, you need 5 minutes? Okay. Well, right now I'll just tell you what I have going on. I am preheating my oven to 400 so that the chicken can go in first. So we're going to start with the chicken, and then we're going to move on to the beans, the white bean dip, and then we're going to move on to the panzanella. So that's a sequence of events, and then we'll obviously do the cauliflower. So that's what's going to happen, and we are going to get started. So let's see, so just this. And so my oven just dinged. It's preheated to 400 degrees. So the chicken's going to go in at 400 degrees, but then we're going to lower the heat because we don't want it to cook on at that temperature the whole time. So what I'm going to do first is get the chicken marinated together. And Susan, are you going to make the chicken? You can just nod. I think you might be frozen now, but. Tight. No, it's okay. And the first thing we're going to do for the chicken, so this can be either, you can marinate the chicken overnight, which is great. It makes the flavors seep in, and it just gives a good flavor. But because it's chicken, it does pick up flavor pretty quickly. So you can just, what we're going to do today is kind of like slather on this sauce now and then drizzle some more on later on, and it'll get nice and crisped up. So, Loris, will you just get the chicken out of the fridge? So I just washed and cleaned my chicken and patted it dry and put it on a baking dish like this. So all I have right now is plain chicken on a rack. And so in here, there's about 2/3 of a cup of olive oil. And this is the juice of 1 whole lemon, I think. But I'll tell you exactly. Hold on. Yeah, it's a juice of 1 whole lemon. So it's 1 whole lemon juice and then another lemon slice. So I'm going to add this together into here. So I'm just going to mix it all in here. And then garlic. So if you like things really garlicky, you can really use up to a whole head. My roommate Roundley, will put a whole head of garlic when she makes her lemony garlicky chicken. So it's totally up to you. I like garlic, but not that much. So I wrote for my recipe 3 to 4 cloves. So I'll see how big the cloves are now when I open this, and then go from there. So I'm just putting my weight into the garlic so to release some cloves. And these are pretty big, so I think I'm gonna err on the side of 3 garlic cloves. And we're just going to mince them. So just getting the garlic out of the skin. It's really fresh. It's not Of course, I have my trusty garbage bowl nearby. garlic because it's pretty purple. Cool. So I'm going to put my weight into it once more. And then if you have any questions at any point during the class, you can unmute yourself and ask. And if you're watching the recording and you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm also, if I deviate from anything that's on the recipes, I will send an updated email. Because sometimes I tend to do that because I don't really follow recipes in my real life. But it's just, I just like making things up as I go along. But, you know, I know that some people need recipes and need instructions to follow. So this is why I make the recipes. All right, so I got my 3 cloves out and they're pretty big and this garlic is super, super sticky. I wanted to use gloves, but I forgot. Oh well. Okay, so I'll use the gloves for the other part when I make the cobbler, because then the cobbler will taste like garlic and that will be gross. So I'm just gonna grate the garlic into the my little dressing jar for the chicken marinade. Hey Martha. And so Martha, now that you're joining, we preheated the oven and we're starting on our chicken marinade, which is just olive oil, some lemon juice, and garlic. So it's about 2/3 of a cup of olive oil, 1 whole lemon juice, and 3 cloves of garlic. That's all we got in there so far. So I'm working on getting this garlic in there. My fingers are going to be really sticky. I should have done this before, but it's okay. So that's 2 cloves in, or most of 2 cloves in, and then I have my 3rd clove. So my cloves are really big. If you like garlic a lot, you can put as much garlic as you want, as I said before. And it's really good for you, garlic. So go for it. All right. And now, ooh, hair in my eye. Hair in my eye, garlic in my eye. 1 second. Give me some black eye. You need something? Yeah. Be right back. 1 minute, guys. Okay, sorry. I had an eyelash in my eye and that was obstructing my cooking visions. So I had to take care of that, but can't really do that with garlicky hands. So I had to do a quick hand wash. All right, so I'm just mixing this all together. And then for the herb part, I have some thyme. So I love herbs and I love thyme. So I have about a little more than a tablespoon of thyme. And what I do is, so I'm just gonna put that in. And when I take the thyme off the sprig, I just pull down and let all the leaves go into the mixture. And then I do the same thing with the rosemary. I also love rosemary, so I definitely have more than a tablespoon of rosemary in here. And I'm just gonna dump that in. And I take it off the stem the same exact way. So So now it's becoming like a very thick kind of herb paste. And you can chop the rosemary too if you want. I didn't chop it. I just left them whole, like the leaves whole, but took them off the stem. And then fresh oregano looks like this normally when you have it. So I do the same thing. I just take the leaves off, and they're pretty big. So oregano is not my favorite, but I do like it. So I have just about a tablespoon. I didn't go overboard on the oregano, or like I did with the thyme or the rosemary. And so before I put this on, I'm just gonna lightly season my chicken with salt and pepper. So I'm just gonna season it with salt. Oh, and then salt, right? Anyone wants that? Thank you. And then I'll just crack some pepper over it. And then I'm going to spoon. So what I like to do is put some of the marinade on top, and then I rub and then I'll put some on in the last like 10 minutes and put the oven on grill so that it gets crispy. So I'm not going to use the whole thing. I'll actually reserve part of that now, so I'll scoop out like a few spoonfuls, and then some. And then I will pour the rest of this over the chicken. Oops, that was a big glob. So it gets globby. And I have about 3-ish pounds of chicken here. So it was a whole chicken. I don't know what you guys have with you. So feel free to type or unmute yourself and let me know how it's going at any point, because I can see the chat but not that well from here. And I'm just going to put all of the herbs on and get it like nice and marinated. So again, if you wanted to do this part before, hey Charlene, hey Sarah, if you wanted to do this part before, it's totally cool. My mom's saying hi, you guys. And if you wanted to do this part before, you can marinate it overnight, and it'll be really good. But it's really just as good even now. And we're gonna so Sarah and Charlene, what we did was we got the chicken ready. So we combined the olive oil, the lemon, all the herbs, seasoned the chicken with salt and pepper, covered it with most of the marinade, but left some out that we're going to use later. So right now the oven is heated to 400. So this is going to be popped in, and Larissa's going to give you a little close-up of this, of what it looks like, and that's going to go in the oven for 30 minutes, and then we're going to lower it for like about an hour. 30 minutes on 400, yeah. So we'll set a timer for 30 minutes, and then we will get started on the beans. So how is everybody doing? You guys can type in the chat or unmute yourself, let me know how you're doing. But right now we are going to get moving with the beans. So this is a dish that I had when I was studying in Italy, and I didn't know like that this was a thing, but it's really so good. And oh, I actually so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna heat a skillet in a little bit, with a little bit of olive oil. And this is my favorite. I have olive oil, Frankie's. And I figured since we're having an Italian theme, choose an Italian olive oil. So Frankie's is a restaurant, an Italian restaurant in New York City area. There's one in Brooklyn, and there is one
Gabby?
not too far from us. Yes, Susan.
Can you please repeat how long it's supposed to be in the oven?
The chicken?
Yeah.
Right now, we're on 400 for 30 minutes. It's gonna stay in the oven after 30 minutes, but we're gonna lower it.
Thank you.
No problem. And then I will need, from the fridge, there's like a thing of broth in front, I forgot to take it out. So right in this, I have the beans, the olive oil, and that's it so far. So that's heating up. And then also put in some stir it. I had the longest day ever today. It feels like 3 days in one. So I did the best that I could with my prep, but sometimes I forgot some things. Oh, and this is such a good spoon. Thank you, Ursula. This spoon says the secret ingredient is love, which is also something I always say, because the secret ingredient is always love, and it's the best ingredient. Everyone always asks me, Gabby, how does your food taste so good? Why can't I make it like this? And yeah, like you just gotta put a little more love into it. Not that people don't put love in their food, but I feel like I always try and put a little extra. So I just added a little bit of salt to the beans. And so these beans, when you get them out of the can, cannellini beans or navy beans, they're a little tender. And so we want to cook them down pretty, we want to cook them down well. So I'm going to need also another garlic clove, and I'm just going to slice it really thinly. And that will just make it really fragrant and give it a nice flavor. So just crushing another clove. These ones are like hard to open. This is also very, very hot. So, whew. But it's really awesome. And my grandma was actually watching my class last week, and she called me afterwards, and she was like, that burger is so amazing. We need to get it. I need to get one in case of an emergency. If there's a fire, not a fire, I mean, like a hurricane or something, and we don't have electricity. Like, only grandmas would think of, like, cooking in an emergency. You know, most people. So, but I appreciated that. So I'm just slicing my garlic super thinly, and I'm going to add it to the beans. I maybe should have added it first, but because this is so hot, I didn't want the garlic to burn on its own. If you have an electric stove, or if you have a stove that's not as hot, then you can add them first, the garlic first. But garlic burns very quickly, so I didn't want to take that risk. So I wanted to have something else in the pan. This will be nice. I know it will go well. So,
Gabby,
yes.
please repeat what's in your frying pan.
In my frying pan, 1 can of cannellini beans or navy beans, and then a tablespoon of olive oil. And then we also have, I seasoned it with some salt, and then 1 garlic clove slice. And then also what's going to go in here is some parsley, and also some red pepper flakes. But that's basically, and that's basically it. So I'm going to get the parsley going while this is cooking down a little bit more, and just get it chopped. So I'm going to just chop it very roughly and put it in. Actually, I'll wait to add it until the end because I don't want it to look too much. So this is about a quarter cup of parsley, probably more. Like I probably have some more parsley than a quarter cup, but I really like parsley. So if you're not heavy on parsley, you don't have to add it at all. If you like parsley, like me, you can add a ton. And now, so now I see that the beans are like creating like a kind of like cakey-ness at the bottom of the pan. So I'm gonna add the broth to cook it in. So it cooks down a little more. And this will also help soften the beans. So I'm gonna put about half of it in first. You can put it all at once, but I like to go low and slow with this. And then it'll all evaporate off eventually, or just make it into more of the sauce. So it's hot. I'm like trying to clean it, but it's very hot. Oh, another thing I forgot to do, but we will do that right now, is slice the lemon. Slice this lemon. So this lemon is supposed to go on top of the chicken, but the chicken's crispy right now. The skin is getting very crispy. That's why you put it in a very hot oven at 400 at first. We're gonna like sear the skin, and then once you do that, I'm gonna place some lemon, glazed lemon slices on top. So I'm just gonna get that ready now, so when the timer goes off. And that is all set. I'll just leave them on this. So my favorite, lots of lemons. Like every dish has, I think every single dish has lemons. I don't think every dish has olive oil, because the dessert doesn't have olive oil, but every dish has lemons. They're just the best, and they make everything so fragrant and so light and summery feeling. So that's why I really like them. And too, when we take out the chicken for like a second, you don't have to take it out fully. Just pull out the drawer, and then you'll lay the lemon slices on top, and then you can also garnish with a few sprigs of rosemary and thyme and oregano. So we have all that ready to go, but that's not happening right now. So this is boiling my, what is this? The beans. So it's kind of coming to a boil, but I want to lower it a little bit. Well, actually it's fine like this, because the beans will get soft. And then in the meantime, we have time. We can get started on the panzanella. So panzanella is a bread salad. For those of you who love bread, I love bread, and know there are people watching right now who love bread. I'm not going to name names, but you know who you are. The bread heads in the crowd, but I'm definitely one of them. So when I heard of a salad that has bread in it, I was like, what? So I don't remember when I first had panzanella, but it's really fun and it's super easy. It's basically tomatoes and bread together in a salad. So the first thing we're gonna do, so I cubed my bread. Whoops! I cubed my bread. I had a ciabatta bread, and I cubed it up into like about an inch slice, like cubes. And this is mine is a little bit over 2 cups, but you can start with 2 cups. And I'm just gonna put it on a baking sheet, like this. So just set it out, and while the chicken's in the oven, we can actually give this a toast. So we're multitasking, but the only thing is when you're multitasking, you gotta be super on top of it, because there have been so many times where I have multitasked in the kitchen and like ended up burning something. And then also so the rest of the ciabatta is over here in slices, and because while I intended for the white beans to be served with crudité, so I have my crudité chopped over there. Where's the crudité? That's cool. And so I have some radishes, some cucumbers, and some carrots, and some celery for the beans. but also like it's really good on bread and meant to be had on bread. So I wanted to try both. So I'm gonna stick those on here as well to toast, just a few crostinis, and I'll drizzle some olive oil on them. Woo. This olive oil comes out way faster than the other one I normally use, and just sprinkle some salt over the whole thing. I'm getting a steam shower from this, but it smells really good. It's like fragrant, like garlic and broth. So I'm just gonna have this popped into the oven for 2 minutes because my oven's on 400 and yours is too. So we don't want it to get super burnt. So I'll just put it in the oven. And then most of my broth is cooked down. So I'm gonna add more broth, final broth. And if you don't have broth on hand, I happened to make broth the other day because my stomach wasn't feeling so great. So I just have it on hand, but usually I do this with water. But the broth adds another depth of flavor and, you know, just add something else to it, but it's totally fine if you don't have any broth. And then this is some red pepper flakes, so we just need a little bit, because I like red pepper flakes and everything too, and it just adds some spice and it's a little different than black pepper. So to taste, if you don't like spicy, no need to have red.
Where is she?
Gabby,
Yes.
we're a little bit behind you. We're cutting up the bread. Does it go into the oven plain or with olive oil on it?
With olive oil and salt. So the bread goes into the oven with olive oil and salt, and just put it in for 2 minutes if the oven's on 400. If it's on 350, you can do 3 minutes. You can put it in for 3 minutes, but just watch it so that it doesn't burn. Because you just want it to be lightly toasted. You don't want it to get black or anything like that. So,
And then while the bread goes into the oven, then we chop up the tomatoes and put what in it?
I haven't done that, but you can start chopping the tomatoes if you'd like.
So what is it that you're talking about besides the
We're
bread?
talking about the beans. I'm still with the beans right now.
Okay, so please, what did you say about the beans?
So the beans are in the olive oil. I sauteed the garlic with it, and then I added about half a cup of broth to it in 2 different stages. You can use water if you don't have broth, but I just happen to have it on hand, and then I just added some red pepper flakes to it. So they're just cooking and getting soft, and it's on a medium heat.
And how much parsley, please?
A 1/4 cup of parsley.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's gonna go in once this is towards the end of its cooking life. Right now, I would say we're about 3/4 of the way done, and this can either be pureed afterwards, or you can serve it like this. I like it like this, or I just like it so that when it's cooked, like a lot, and then it gets like kind of like that refried beef feeling.
I think I bought all these.
So that's how it goes.
Hey, Janice.
Which I
Awesome. Cool. It's been 2 minutes. Yeah, so it's been 2 minutes for me for the toast. So we're gonna get it taken out of the oven, and I guess you can see how it looks, and then you can let me know. And this is still cooking down, and it looks really good. Here, I'm gonna come around and give you a closer look. So it's steaming and kind of like gooey-ish. I think it could go in for another minute. What do you think?
Yeah, I think another minute.
Yeah, because you want it to be slightly browned. I'm just paranoid about burning toast because it's the saddest thing in the world, and I love toast so much. So burnt toast. Very sad. So I'm still cooking the beans. And now, in the meantime, I'm gonna move we are gonna start, I'm gonna keep an eye on the beans, but I'm gonna start I'll start chopping the tomatoes for the panzanella. So I have these beautiful, beautiful heirloom tomatoes. I'll show you them in 1 second. They're amazing and they're huge and big. So I worked a co-op shift today. So I belong to the Parksville Food Co-op, which you have to work to be a member of. And I had one of my shifts today, and it started at 8 o'clock, but I didn't really get such a great night's sleep. Oh, and the beans are basically done as I'm saying that. Perfect, they're cooked perfectly. So I'll come around and show you what they look like right now. But first I'm going to add the remaining parsley to it and give it a little toss. So this is super easy, and you don't even need to add parsley to it. I just love parsley so much. So anything I can add herbs to, I do. So it's more of like a bean paste. And then when you serve it, you can drizzle some olive oil on it too, and have it served on toast, serve it with crudité. And it's just a very yummy alternate thing to have on toast, but I'll come give you a closer look. So it looks kind of like refried beanish. You see how it's kind of mushy because the beans cook in the broth. So that's really very nice. And then instead of chopping the tomatoes now, I'm actually going to move to the pesto. So if you want to get everything ready, all the pesto ingredients out, we can get that started.
Oh, the bread.
Oh yeah, the bread. So we can check on the bread. We'll check on the bread, and we're working on the pesto. So I just got another pan so I can toast the nuts for the pesto. And I have both walnuts and, let's see. I think like another minute. So I have walnuts and pine nuts. So you can use either walnuts or pine nuts or both. I bought both just because I offered up both, but I'm gonna try something different. Usually I do one or the other, but I'm gonna do both because why not? I'm gonna experiment with you guys. So I'll do, and it'll be about a 1/4 cup total of nuts. So if you're doing both, it's a 1/4 cup total. And I'm going to heat this baby up, but you really need to keep an eye on it. So I'm just going to keep a very watchful eye while I'm doing this. So now is a great time if you have any questions and you're on the live call. If you have any questions, because I'm not doing anything else except watching these nuts. So we also just want to get them very lightly toasted until they're pretty good. Yeah. So we're just toasting up some nuts. Got some nuts up on the table. And today is the first day that I'm using it's my new Cuisinart mini prep inauguration, courtesy of one of my students in today's class. Thank you very much, Sarah, for my birthday gift. I actually used it before to do something, but this is the class it's been a part of. Sorry, giving me some trouble. Okay, tricky little thing. I just want to try it. Yeah, got it. So, New York City living can only have such a big food processor, right? but it's really cute and fashionable. So I'm all about it. And these nuts are going, and I smell them, so I'm already watchful. Whoop. And as they are becoming fragrant, I'm going to turn this off like very soon. So in the time that I was talking, like I don't even think it's been 5 minutes, but the oils from the nuts and you know they burn really quickly. And actually, one time I almost burned down an apartment in a gas oven with a gas oven, like leaving walnuts in for too long, and the walnuts actually caught fire. That won't happen to you because I'm telling you, you need to be very aware of nut burning. So I think we're officially done with the burner, and it's very warm, so I'm going to move it out of the way. And so this is going to go out of the way, and we can focus on the pesto. So I just moved the nuts directly into the food processor, and then the next thing I'm going to put in. So first I'm going to blend all the solid things. So the nuts, the cheese, and the garlic. First I'm going to blend the nuts and the garlic actually, because the cheese that I have is already grated. If you don't have grated cheese and it's like, if you want to just cut it into cubes, Parmesan cheese, then you can do that. And I'm just going to use 1 clove of garlic. We have so much garlic and everything else. But you can use 2 cloves or more. All of these recipes are to taste, and they're all to your preference. So you can cook with me now, see what you like, and then adapt as you go along. So maybe next week, or you know, whenever you decide to make a pesto or a panzanella or a garlicky lemony chicken, you'll be able to know, like, I like a little less, a little more, or just right. You know, maybe you're like Goldilocks. Who knows? So, so we're gonna put olive oil in here, and what did I do? I need. Oh yes. So first, sorry, tired brain today. So I have the nuts in here, and then I'm gonna put the Parmesan cheese. But first, I'm gonna blend the garlic in with the nuts. So I'm just gonna lock this up and grind it. And so this is ground up pretty fine, and now I'm gonna add the cheese. Ooh, it smells so good. And so I have about a 1/4 cup of cheese, and ooh, this is good. So the bread is toasted, great. And now I added the cheese, and I'm gonna grind it up and pop that. You want to just put it on trivet, because I'm gonna, or actually the cubes you can just put. Just leave it in there. I'll tell you when I need it. And so I have the cheese grated in here, and now next I'm gonna add the basil and the lemon juice. I can put the bread in. No, wait. So, actually, I'm not going to do that. So, I attempted to put all the basil in, but as this is a mini prep, I need to like follow mini rules and do things.
Gabby,
Yes.
because we're not organized, and I would recommend your people have everything cut up, you know, like everything beforehand. Susie and I don't do that. We just come here and like, okay, so I'm catching up. What is underneath the basil in the blender?
So in the food processor is the toasted nuts and the 1 clove of garlic and the cheese. So about a 1/4 cup of nuts, Parmesan cheese, and I'm going to
So-
add 2 cups.
What should we substitute for cheese?
You don't need to put cheese at all.
Okay,
So if you have nutritional yeast,
okay,
you can use some of that. I wouldn't say half a cup, but you can use like a quarter cup or a couple tablespoons, and then, but you don't need to use 2. So that's actually a great point, Martha. Thank you.
thank you.
So there are a lot of people who don't eat dairy. So cheese isn't for everybody. I love pesto with cheese, but I've also made it without cheese. There have been so many times where I have a ton of basil, but I don't have cheese, and I just blend it all together. It still tastes really great and amazing. So I'm gonna give this a grind with about half of the basil leaves. Ooh. And actually, since the basil leaves are kind of taking over, I'm going to add some of the lemon juice. So for the lemon juice, I have 4 tablespoons of lemon juice, which is also the equivalent of a quarter cup. So that's just going to go in there. And it'll help when you're blending stuff. If you've ever made smoothies, like when they get so thick, it's hard to blend. So we have to keep adding the liquid. So now see how it's going. Here we go. Great. Awesome. So now it's pretty incorporated. Great. I'll add the rest of the basil, or as much as I can for now. And then I'm always overzealous, and my eyes are bigger than and I'm just going to add some olive oil, drizzle it in. So we will add about a 2/3 cup of olive oil to the whole thing, but I'm eyeballing it for now. And I'm going to add some more basil. And if you have your recipes handy, feel free to look at them and, follow the instructions on the recipe. You can skip ahead of me while I don't, I do sometimes deviate when I teach from the recipe, so I would recommend, I don't know, if you can skip ahead and you still be with me, cool. But if not, so my pesto, wait, go. Okay, so mine looks pretty done. It is pretty green. I'll give it one more blend and give it a taste. It's very good. Very lemony. Very yummy. I'll add a little bit more olive oil and give it a whirl. So the Italians, they love olive oil. So if you're Italian, you can add more olive oil than I do. Okay, awesome. So that is all that's going in there. And in my recipe, actually, I wrote to add some apple cider vinegar, but that is for the vinaigrette purposes. Okay, so that was the 30-minute timer for the chicken. So if your chicken's in the oven, just lower it to 300 now, and then we'll put a timer here where we'll use these on top of the chicken, like just like and you'll lower it to 350, and we'll let it cook for another. So I have about a 3.5 pound chicken, so I would say an hour. So set it for an hour, and then it'll be done by the time we're done. So what time is it now? 7:30. Perfect. I mean, we'll check on it before an hour. It might be done before the hour. So we'll see. Done? Good. Great. Yeah. Put this in here. And then we are going to move on to the Panzanella. So as I was saying before, the recipe I wrote for the Panzanella has apple cider vinegar in it, but I didn't want to add it just yet because I don't know how much of the pesto we're going to use in the salad. I have to see it. So what I am changing about it is I'll just add the apple cider vinegar to the tomato and shallots. So for a quick recap, we made the pesto, nuts, cheese, optional, or nutritional yeast if you have it around, and then salt, garlic clove, pepper, and what else? Am I forgetting something? Lemon juice, olive oil, basil. Okay, pesto is nuts, cheese, garlic first, blended. Then we add our basil in, some lemon juice, olive oil, salt and pepper. I actually didn't add salt and pepper because we're going to be dressing the salad with salt and pepper. So I kept it out for now, and we'll add that stuff once we season it. So right now you don't have salt and pepper or anything, but the cheese is salty and it's pretty fragrant. So now I will, so look at these heirloom tomatoes, and look at this one. This is like a huge one, and this one kind of got like bruised up. So actually I'm gonna cut this one first. Maybe that one will stay whole. I think I'm only gonna use 3 of them because they're pretty huge. And I just washed them like normal. And I'm gonna cube them up.
And a question. Should I take off the rosemary leaves or leave them whole?
Leave them whole. So that's a great question. So I told Larissa to garnish the chicken with the rosemary and the lemon slices. So if you this is also an optional step. You don't have to do this, but I think it's cute for presentation. So you can leave,
Gabby?
yes.
Gabby,
Yes.
what are you cutting, please?
What am I what?
What are you cutting now?
Your tomatoes?
What am I cutting?
Those are gigantic tomatoes.
Yeah, no, it's a huge tomato. This is half of one.
It looks like a cantaloupe.
Yeah, it
the
looks like a
chicken
cantaloupe. And that's the chicken. Oh, wow, so pretty. So we just took the chicken out for a second just to garnish it with the lemons. And then they're going in with the lemons and herbs, even though it already has herbs on it. But, so we're going to put it in the oven at 350 for another 30 minutes. So I have 3 pounds of chicken. My mom always says, for an hour, yes. My mom always says to cook 20 minutes per pound. So that's the rule of thumb that I've followed for many years. And it works for me. And I like my chicken cooked a lot. So it's a good, it just depends on how you like your chicken cooked too. So now I'm chopping up my tomatoes. This tomato is like humongous. So you will be good with 3 to 4 like normal sized tomatoes. I have gigantic tomatoes, so I actually might just use 2 of them, the 2 that got like the most bruised in the shop, and then we will use the other ones at a later day. We'll be having pesto and panzanella for days in my house because of all of the shopping. I used to just go to the store and buy just what I needed for the day, but today I don't know what came over me, and I'm actually leaving in a week for Europe, and I'm going to be in Tuscany, which I'm really excited about, so I can have all these foods again in their home. So Nona's going home, but not really because I'm not actually a Nona or Italian. But I did live in Florence for 4 months, and it was so amazing, and all the food was really tasty, and it like I mean, this is where I found like white beans on toast. So thank you, Tuscany, for making this possible. Otherwise, the white bean recipe would not be part of Pesto and Panzanella. So that's one tomato, that is this big, like this many, this much tomatoes. It's so much. I want to give you a better look. Whoops. Getting crazy. All right, so I'll go back to chopping the other tomato. But I just had to show you because it was huge tomato. And then this one's a more normal size tomato. And so this is our pesto so far. And beautiful and green. And this is great on pasta too, obviously. You could even make pizza with it, pesto pizza. If anyone's ever had pesto pizza, it's awesome. It's so good. And I can eat pesto on anything. Pesto with eggs, pesto on salad, pesto in my hair. No, I'm just kidding. But sometimes that happens if I get too excited. So in this panzanella salad, it's really simple. So just a few heirloom tomatoes chopped roughly. And you can cut them in big chunks. I like them in big chunks. Some people like smaller, that's fine. And then a shallot. Again, I don't know what is going on with the co-op, but this shallot is huge. Like normally they're so much smaller. So I'm just gonna use half of it instead of a whole shallot because I don't think we need the whole thing. And shallots are a little milder than red onions, which is why I'm using them instead. Mushrooms. All of the things today that I'm getting, like garlic, the shallot, they're all like very tough to, they all have like a very tough exterior. I wonder what that says. I wonder what message that's giving me. Chill out. No. So I think this is 2 shallots in one because this is basically in another own shell. So I had like a gargantuan tomato, and then I have a gargantuan shallot. But to be fair, I did pick them. I'm sure there were smaller ones, so I don't know. Maybe I was just going big today. So if you are catching up with me, what I'm doing so far is just trying to get this shallot cleaned. Maybe I'll use the other half. This stuff is giving me problems. No. So in the bowl is just the tomatoes so far. And we're gonna put the shallots in and then drizzle with apple cider vinegar, salt, and pepper. Then we will add the bread. And then it sits and gets juicy and yummy. All right, so with the help of a paper towel, I was able to de-shell my shallot. That was fun to say. So I'm just gonna cut really thin slices as soon as I can go. But if they're a little thicker, that's okay too. We don't discriminate. Great. I'll just put them over the salad. Great. And then this part is garbage. And now just sprinkle with some salt and pepper. And I forgot to take out the apple cider vinegar, so it's up there. No, in the cabinet. Trusty apple cider vinegar, great for digestion. Also, if you have a white balsamic. The reason I didn't want to use a dark balsamic is because it's dark and it would make the salad look dark, but you can use it too. That's also really flavorful. But I wanted to stick with the light vinegar, like colored vinegar, to preserve the color of our salad. So about a tablespoon, but you can just eyeball it, drizzle. That was probably more. Don't tell me what I want. And then I'll just give that a little toss. And then we can add the pesto to it. So at first, I'm going to just add a few tablespoons of it. It smells so good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, why not? And then I'll give it a little toss and incorporate all together. So it's just like green and yellow. This looks like the Italian flag in here. I mean, I know there's no yellow in it, but the yellow can be like a stand-in for the white. I was actually thinking I should wear something Italian color themed, but I didn't. I don't really have a lot of red. We do have white. Okay, so this is nice and bluey, but we didn't put the bread in, so we might need a little bit more pesto sauce, but it's looking very nice. And do you want
Gabby,
Yes.
Juice from the tomato.
2 questions.
Okay.
Number 1, the tomatoes threw off a lot of juice. Should we put the juice aside or should we add it to leave it in there for the bread to absorb it?
Your call. I would leave it. It depends how much. Mine had a lot, but a lot of it went all over the table. So
Okay. The other question is, when the recipe says generously drizzle the pesto vinaigrette on top, our pesto is thick, kind of like hummus consistency, so it's not a vinaigrette at all. What should we do?
Oh, so mine is also thick. So what I did was, so I have to adjust the recipe a little bit because what I did was add the apple cider vinegar to the tomatoes, not to the pesto, because that's what makes it also vinaigrette. So I added that to the tomatoes, and then when you add the pesto into just the tomatoes, it will a little bit.
Okay, we only have rice vinegar, not apple cider vinegar.
You only had what?
Rice vinegar.
Oh, okay. Do you have balsamic?
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that might go better with the flavor profile. So try that. And then let me know how that goes. Okay, so have that, and then do we have the bread? No.
What's this one?
Oh, actually. Great. So here's our beautiful bread. I have crostini and the cubes. So I'm gonna put the crostini aside because we can have that.
Oh, see, they were flat because the pesto thing goes on top.
No, the crostini, I just toasted some of it, but I made cubes for this. So I'm just adding the cubed bread. Larissa. So my bread is very roasty and toasty. It's like croutons. Very yummy. So it won't be this crunchy because it'll absorb, but the olive oil and the salt really did a number on this bread. So I'm gonna give it a nice little toss, and then it'll. Ooh, I love that sound. Mm. Actually, I need a spoon. Yeah, and I think that's good for pesto. So the remaining pesto, so I have a lot of pesto left over, actually. But I did that on purpose for me and for you guys so that you can have pesto later on this week and enjoy it. So it's great on pasta, eggs, toast, salads, you name it. Baked potato even. I know, didn't think of it, but now I gave you that idea. So I want to hear about all the pesto adventures you guys are having this week. So my panzanella salad is done and mixed together. And the final thing I'm going to do is julienne some basil and toss that in because we can never have enough basil. So I just took some basil off the leaves. I reserved some on the side. If you didn't, no big deal. We have plenty of basil in the pesto. This salad also, if you like leaves in your salads a lot, you can add arugula to it, and it's really nice. That peppery arugula flavor goes really well with all the flavors in this bowl. So that is going to be, we're going to set that aside and let it sit for a bit, and then we can get all of this cleaned up and moved into the kitchen because our grand finale of the cobbler is coming up. So I'm just going to give my table a little wipe down over here. I'm going to go wash my hands, but I will be able to hear you. So if you have any questions, now is a great time to ask them, or just to be catching up with whatever you're doing. So we made our white bean dip, our chicken's in the oven, our panzanella's made, and now we're going to make some rocking cobbler. Okay. All right, I am back. First things first, I love peaches and I love blueberries, and they're even better when you put them together in a cobbler. I'm just wiping out this bowl. Wait, I have my tomatoes in it, but I'm going to use it for the blueberries and peaches. So what we're going to do for the cobbler, and what I usually do for cobbler, is I mix the fruit in one bowl and like jazz it up with some stuff, and then make my crumble. So I have a 1/4 cup of butter, and if you're not using dairy, you can use coconut oil instead. So, but just make sure it is cold. So if you need to pop it in the fridge for a little bit, go ahead and do that now. We're not going to work with it just yet. So my first order of business. So I got these gorgeous peaches. Again, also, they were huge. This is the smallest one, but the other ones were so big. So instead of 4, I only sliced up 3. So you can go ahead and slice up your peaches. And the blueberries were probably under a pint because I love blueberries and I started eating them, and I can be a little blueberry bear at times. So it's a little under a pint, but I don't still eat. So I'm just going to add all of the fruit to a bowl. I mean, I could have used that bowl, but, and I might even need a bigger bowl, but I'm going to put gloves on actually because I was handling a lot of garlic, and my intention was to use the gloves when I was handling the chicken and the garlic, but garlic doesn't wash off your hands that easily. You need one of those metal soap things. My mom has it. I have it. I haven't joined the squad on that yet, but it's on my to-get list. So I will update you once I have that. And they're also good for protecting the hands. And this takes me back to many long hours spent in the chemistry lab, where often I would have to double up on gloves because I didn't want to get burned by any of the chemicals. So we're going to zest a lemon. And we are going to use about 2 teaspoons of lemon zest. And I'm gonna eyeball it, but you guys measure. Again, for me, lemon zest is something that's so yummy, so if there's a little extra, I'm okay with it. So I'm just zesting a lemon, and as a reminder, my tip is to keep the lemon in the fridge beforehand because it makes it easier to zest. If it's not in the fridge, it's also okay. It's just easier to zest a refrigerated lemon than a room temperature lemon, and it's easier to juice a room temperature lemon over a refrigerated lemon. I don't know where I learned this. I think maybe like Ina Garden or like somebody from the food channel passed down their knowledge, or maybe even like my grandma, who knows, the Nonas of the world. So we have some lemon zest. I probably could zest this whole one. I think I'm just gonna go for it and zest the whole lemon because it doesn't quite look like 2 teaspoons yet to me. And this is a pretty small lemon. The lemons were small. Everything else was huge. But with heirloom tomatoes, I'm such a sucker. They just all look so good, so I picked like the most crazy looking ones because we don't get them so often, you know? We have to take advantage while they're around, or at least I feel like I have to take advantage. Maybe you guys aren't the same. So we are just getting all the lemon zest out of there. So in this bowl is so far just the sliced peaches and the blueberries. Then to this, I'm going to add some cinnamon, a 4th teaspoon, so really not much. I'll just do a little shake. Woo. And some vanilla extract, about a teaspoon. And I'm going to eyeball that as well. And what else am I going to add in here? Maple syrup. Oh, I forgot to get that out. It's in the fridge door, right there. Yep. And then just a touch. You can also add honey. That is maple syrup. You can also add honey. I just have maple syrup on hand, and it's easier for me to use because my honey gets very thick and crystallized, so it doesn't mix as easily. And just 1 tablespoon, not that much, and I'm going to eyeball it as well. So that might be under, but it's okay because the fruit's so sweet that you don't really need it. And I just need, will you get me a spoon to mix this with? Oh, like a metal one from the back drawer. Yeah. Thank you. That's perfect. I look like Dexter from Dexter's Laboratory. So I'm just gonna toss this together. And what's great is the cobbler, guess what temperature it's at? Also 350 degrees. And guess what our oven is set to? 350 degrees now that we lowered it. So great multitasking cooking skills. But it depending on when you want to eat this, if you want to eat it hot. Also, you can reheat it. It's cobbler, so it's good and eat it right. And then also just a pinch of salt for all baking purposes, and we'll keep this. Actually, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to transfer this to the baking dish that I'm going to use. And I'm just using like a regular Pyrex. And I sliced my peaches pretty thinly, but you can go probably thinner than I did. And now everything's sticking out. And so it's going to be a pretty thin layer of fruit, but I like it that way. If you want it to be more thick, you can use a smaller Pyrex. But I'm just trying to arrange it so that you get a little bit of blueberry and peach in each bite. So just move it around until you feel it's complete. And Looks good to me. Then the next part is, so if you haven't already, so we're gonna be using two cups of oats. And I blended 1 cup of the oats. Because usually when you make a crumble, you use oats and flour, and some kind of flour. But I wanted to use all oats, so I blended some of the oats to make it more of a flour consistency. So if you could just show them a closer look of that. So it's not totally fine, and depending on what you have, if you have a Vitamix, it'll pulverize it. I used some Mini Prep. Thank you, Sarah, again, and it worked just fine. So I'm adding the 1 cup of the pulverized oats and 1 cup of the regular oats, and then
Oats. I forgot the oats.
I have them.
Okay. Nope, we got them. We got them.
excuse me.
And what, did you throw in the coconut sugar yet?
Excuse me. I haven't. What did you say? I can't hear you.
What went first into
What did you throw in before the oats?
Before the oats, I had a cup of blended oats. So 1 cup of oats, and then I blended 1 cup of oats.
Blend 1 cup in the food processor.
And before that, what'd you put in?
Okay, we don't have a greaser, so I'm
What?
just
Before that, what did you put in?
Nothing.
Okay, thank you.
Now we just have blended oats and regular oats. And now I'm going to add coconut sugar. Got it? Cool. And now, ooh, this is the wrong measurement. Okay, so 3 tablespoons of coconut sugar. And if you don't have coconut sugar, you can use regular sugar. Coconut sugar is just my sugar of choice. You can use date sugar, or you can use nothing, but I think it needs a little bit sweetener. Also, a cool thing to put in this is coconut flakes. That comes out really well. You know, another eyelash issue. Hold on. Now, so this is the fun part because you get to use your hands. So first, no one look at what I'm doing, or actually look at what I'm doing. I mean, I don't have a spoon on hand, so I'm just mixing this together with a knife so all the coconut sugar and stuff gets mixed together. My mom goes crazy when I do this, so don't look, Mom. But I'm gonna use the knife in a second for the butter. So if you don't have butter, like I said, you can use coconut oil. And what I'm gonna do with the butter is cut it into little cubes. It's cold, so I'm gonna try and cut it into little cubes and then add it to this. And then then we're gonna get to my favorite part. So just keep up the butter. This is also really fun. I don't know if anyone's ever cut up butter. Super. It's like playing with Play-Doh or like that clay that you had as a kid. That you can use little shapes that up. So the crumble topping is super simple. Just a cup of blended oats, a cup of regular oats, and then 3 tablespoons of coconut sugar, and a butter or coconut oil. So that was about a 1/4 cup. And then to this too, I'm gonna add some sea salt. I'll use my other hand. Just a pinch. And then what you do is you kind of work it with your hand. I'll show you. Just like kneading it and crumbling it together. So it becomes like a crumble. This is where crumble comes from. And this is also a great workout for your forearms. So we're cooking and working out at the same time. It's like everyone's dream. taking multitasking to the next level in this class. I'm gonna actually transfer this to the bowl so it's easier to mix. So if anyone has any questions, now is a great time to ask. And for those of you watching, it's a good time to catch up on anything that you missed. But I will also be sending, you will also have by now received comprehensive emails with any adaptations that we made during the class. So my crumble is quite crumbly, but there are still pretty large chunks of butter. So this takes some patience and time. This is also how you make pie crust too, by the way, but not with oats. But it's the same technique you have to use. But you'd use water actually too after. So we'll make pies a different day. Who likes pie? Who wants to make pie? And this is pretty crumbly. No, not quite there. Almost there. A few more needs of the hand. So I'll come up and give you a close-up of what I mean by what I would like it to look like. So do you see, it kind of looks like granola chunks. And you can see like some formations. It's not total like granola chunks, but there are parts where it's chunky. So I am going to put it on the cobbler and sprinkle it on top. So you want to just cover as much of it as you can. So you start a little bit with a little bit everywhere, and then you work your way in and you keep repeating and keep repeating. And it'll be like really nice and buttery or coconut oily. I love coconut oil. And if you're using coconut oil, you can also add coconut mixes. It's really good. But I wanted to keep the coconut out since we were doing an Italian themed class. And this is a lot of crumbles. I like my crumbles crumbly. And the part that I'm really excited about is that if you know me, you know I love ice cream. And I got one of my favorite vanilla ice creams from Van Leeuwen, which I'm very excited to eat on top of this gorgeous crumble. So that is basically it. Our chicken is still cooking. How much time do we have left on it?
Like another 20 minutes.
Another 20 minutes.
Maybe 30.
Another 20 or 30 minutes. Okay. So I will take you into the kitchen with me so you can take a look and check on my chicken with me. Check on the chicken. So we're gonna just walk over into my kitchen and I'm gonna pop open the oven. Oh, and it looks great. It's cooking beautifully. So what I'm gonna do is move it over so that we have room for the crumble. And then in the last, so it actually is pretty brown and I don't think, I can add more of the marinade, but it might not be necessary. And I'm gonna go put the crumble in, and that will be in there for 30 minutes. So the crumble's going in. I'll be right back. I'm trying. And now, if you have any questions, since we've wrapped up pretty rapidly, even though not everything is done cooking, so I am happy to stay on and chat with you I'm gonna plate my bean dip in my serving bowl. Let me adjust the camera. So I'm gonna put my bean dip in the serving bowl. Might need to be warmed up, but I'll put it in for now. And this is good served hot. So right now it's cold and got a little bit, don't get me wrong, still very good, but it's nice to have it warmed. So when you're ready to eat, I would suggest warming it up, maybe with a teeny bit of water and give it a nice stir. And then put it on your favorite toast, eat it with your favorite crudité. This is me here. Crostini and crudité. This is my favorite way to eat it. Is I basically take some, put it on, and when it's really hot, it's good. And then I drizzle more olive oil, as if we didn't use enough olive oil in this meal. There we go. I didn't put the olive oil on, but it would definitely not take away from the flavor. Because when does olive oil ever do that? So, how's everyone doing that's here with me? I'm gonna bring the computer down and take a seat, because it's been a long day for me. And I wanna hear what you guys have to say. Anyone? Who else is here? Oh, I think Sarah and Charlene left. Well, I'll do my final closing and then I will stay on. But thank you to everyone that came to Pesto and Panzanella, or to everyone that is watching the recording. I will send you will have, by this point actually, already a comprehensive email with any deviations that I made during the class. I don't think I made many, but I'll write them all down. I'll write exactly what I did. And so you'll be right on the same page as me. And the cobbler's in for 30 minutes and the chicken is in for that much time too. So it'll be ready by 8:30, perfect time for dinner. And I am so glad that I got to share all these special recipes with you guys. And I'll tell you, I can't wait to the next Nona Gabby class. Oh yeah, and I'm going on the road. Nona Gabby's going on the road, and I'm going to the motherland, as I said earlier. So I'll be in Italy for 2 weeks. And so just look out for some Nona travels and Nona classes. Maybe I'll do a class from Italy, who knows? If you'd like a class in Italy, email me, let me know, and I'll make it happen. So thanks for coming. I want to see pictures of whatever you make on Instagram. Make sure to hashtag Nona Gabby and tag the Nona Gabby and message me, email me any questions. And I can't wait to see you again the next time. Take care. Love you guys.